with these different expenses and accounting, like accounting is so complicated, and it's so hard to just look at one thing to determine if the property is performing well. For example, today I was with an investor and we were looking at some of our properties that we own together, and I'm not saying this is wrong or that they did anything wrong, but every no matter how savvy an investor is, and I do this too, the first thing, let me ask you, what's the first thing you want to know about a property if you're just trying to checking in on it?
The first thing I would want to know about a property if I was checking in, a new investment or a current investment?
Current investment, how's it doing?
How's occupancy?
Exactly. Everyone wants to know what occupancy is, right? And I don't blame them, and I do too. It's just like such a tangible thing. We want to understand how many heads in beds, right? The
Well,
problem with
also, it not only is it a tangible thing, but it also reflects upon, okay, is this management team asleep at the wheel? And that doesn't mean that you've got good tenants in there, which we can get into something like that later. It doesn't mean you have good tenants, but at least they're doing something. You know, the property is at least attractive. You chose an attractive wife here. You chose a property that people want to live in for the price in a very fluid market.
Well, there you go. You mentioned so many things that can go wrong with just drilling in on occupancy, because maybe the occupancy is high because the rents are too low. Maybe occupancy is high because the on-site team is derelict in their responsibility of evicting, and they're just keeping non-paying tenants hanging around even though they're completely useless. Like I preach to my team all the time, let it be vacant. I would rather have a unit be vacant than be filled with someone who is not a good neighbor. Like we just don't need those people. So that's why we need to screen hard, and we need to make sure that we're only bringing in new residents who are going to add to the community and who are going to pay their rent consistently on time. So occupancy is a vanity metric. Like you can walk in and say, oh, well, the occupancy is 95. It's like, well, like, what does that mean? Because what if 10% of that occupancy is non-paying tenants? And what if rents are too low? And so on and so forth. So again, I'm not bashing occupancy, and I'm not bashing anyone who thinks occupancy is important. Occupancy is important. But the funny thing is, it's not the tell all. And if I were to kind of zero in on a tell all, I would actually zero in on collections.